video. This is going to be more of a discussion video, as when I was going to do other verses between Witcher 3 and Skyrim in the past, when I wanted to do more visually, I did this with Splinter Cell Blacklist versus Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain, where I just showed me playing some gameplay of both and put them side by side. I think I did something similar with Halo and another game. I have to look into what game I put that up against. I can't remember. But yeah, and then the other one was I do these playthroughs like I did well, not recently, but months ago, Fallout 3 versus Fallout New Vegas, as well as I think KOTOR versus KOTOR 1 versus KOTOR 2, though I didn't get to finish that, though I plan on getting back to those games, but I don't know if I want to do them in that same fashion, where I play, I think, 2 hours of the first game and then 2 hours of the next. Sometimes it was unbalanced how much time I played one or the other. It would end up that way. Especially sometimes some games had longer campaigns and stuff than others. But yeah, I wanted to do this. This is a big deal, as both Skyrim had the reigning title of being like on one of the top 10 best-selling games for a very long time. It held the record. When did Skyrim come out? I think it was 2011 it came out. I know it came out the same year as Dark Souls, and it was a reigning champion since then. And I think it was last year, technically, when that title was kind of broken by The Witcher 3. And The Witcher 3 has only been reigning champion for a couple months now, where Skyrim has been reigning champion for years. So 2021 would be 10 years. So up to then, it would be 24 years, is that right? It was reigning champion for 24 years. It will take a long time before Witcher 3 catches up, and we don't even know if, like, it will last that long. So, you never know. You never know what happens. So, I wanted to talk about this, because I do like both games. If you've seen some of my videos where I show my bedroom accessories, you could say, just my house accessories, you've seen a lot of Batman stuff around my place and such. Especially, I'm mostly doing side quests and such right now. I'm trying to do every little thing that I can. I've only failed 2 quests, I think, so far, just because I was not paying close attention to them. Yeah, I've only failed 2 quests, but I don't think that's that big a detriment, and I can always get back to them and see what they were all about on another playthrough. And I technically did do a decent portion of both of these. I just failed more a later part or whatever. Yeah, when I ran into this quest, I just thought it was just some random thing going on. I didn't know it was an actual quest. And then this one, I think it was just another one of those, and I forgot about it. So, my fault on those. Let's go in here, though.
Wait, portal closed. Looked smaller from the outside.
But we're gonna mostly have we're gonna mostly have
intruder neutralization commence.
Oh, okay. So I had to write down various categories, and we're gonna mostly see Witcher gameplay, because sadly I cannot, because I do not have a graphics card for my PC that is very good to play The Witcher 3 on there. I can't show both games gameplay because The Witcher 3 was not running very well on there. So, here's how I tried going about it. So, I made a bunch of, uh-oh, what happened? Just standing there. But I made a bunch of categories for each game to compete in, and I had to narrow them down because I literally started out with 48 categories, almost 50, and I had to narrow that down. I had to ask my friends for some help on that, and now I think I'm down to 27. Oh my gosh, this guy's kicking my ass. Now I'm stuck somewhere. God damn. Eat some chicken on the fly. Come on. He keeps getting stuck. Okay, I hate when he does that too. I do not like fighting rock-like enemies. Protecting himself. Hello. You realize I'm here? Oh my gosh. Oh, by the way, I have the television show armor now. So I nailed the category. Okay, he's stuck again. Down to 27. I had to combine a bunch of them. And believe it or not, I had both getting tied multiple times when going over each of these categories and what I would like to say during them. So they actually ended up tied a lot. Sadly, we didn't really have people vote. I'm not that big a channel, so of course people don't know me enough to vote, as well as like I put that in the community section, so maybe not everybody would catch that. Yeah. I don't know what else to say to that. But I think I finally have a winner and that I can go over these. I might use examples also from other YouTubers. I'll try to be as unbiased as possible. Yes, I know you're over there. I'm trying to get this out. Shut the frick up.
Someone's come to free me.
So, what do I have first? Art style and graphics. I had to combine these two because it's basically part of the same thing. Now, I always say graphics do not matter unless it's really distracting and really terrible. But luckily, Skyrim does have a remaster, so yeah, even if it didn't have a remaster, it's still got a unique art style. Most of the Elder Scrolls games do. I would even say Morrowind, even though some would argue that game's ugly. I don't entirely agree.
The tower is outfitted with the...
Yeah, it's old and outdated places, but I wouldn't say that separates from the style of the game. It's a very memorable style, whether it's liked or not. But we're not here to talk about Morrowind.
The golem attacked me, and you were stuck behind bars.
But with the art style, I think I have to take a couple of things. So I remember Up is Not Jump used an example when comparing The Witcher to Skyrim as well. And this is going to be a theme probably throughout this, but The Witcher is trying to go for more of a realistic fantasy setting, where Skyrim is trying to go for... It does have some roots in trying to be realistic, but you can tell it's a very fantastical and over the top. Skyrim is more of Lord of the Rings, where The Witcher is more Game of Thrones.
A tower at an auction.
It belonged to Gottfried Stamfeld.
So there's probably going to be a lot of things they have in similarities in each of these categories to talk about. So while the graphics of The Witcher are clearly better, what is that quote from J.R.R. Tolkien in Epic Rap Battle? The genre is called fantasy. It's meant to be unrealistic. You my epic manatee. So, to take something silly like that, it is meant to be exaggerated. It is a fantastical series, and while it's not said that you can't do
My share of wonders.
realism or have different approaches to your fantasy, it is fantasy. And I find there's going to be other places this is going to play a part in too. So it's something to keep in mind. But nonetheless, it really it's also it depends on preference, because once again, there's a lot of things here I can see getting tied. And this is why I had such a hard time, and I technically still have some categories here that are tied. So
Right. Time to get out of here and send
I
this
had a
tower
hard
home.
time
Where do I look for
trying
Godfrey's
to
trails? Any
untie,
ideas?
like my shoelaces, untie some of these things. And it was not easy, because I can see the sides of both, and I'll get into that stuff in the other categories, because I feel like those are a lot stronger there. Now, while this is better in graphics, in art style, and especially nowadays, art style is very important, especially because of AI slop on the rise, and people getting pissed and sick of that stuff constantly everywhere. And I'm glad neither of these games have resorted to frickin' AI slop.
Colin probably greeted them too.
Though you never know what kind of modders are going to mess with either stuff in the red kit or Skyrim's frickin' creation club or whatever. Creation engine, whatever the frick you want to say. But, yeah. I think that if I'm going to judge these on art style, than graphics once again. So I gotta give Skyrim the win. The art style of like the locations and the setting and stuff are just so unique. There's not many that look like it. Where The Witcher, you can point to like its cities, or example, looking like cities you've seen from other fantasy genres or other like medieval settings and such, or real life areas. It just doesn't go out there enough. It's really more in the creature designs where it starts to go out there. So technically they should tie button here, but I have to go off of a if I have to break the tiebreakers, I need just that tiny little element that balances one over the other gargoyle. Why do these gargoyles almost remind me of the frickin' asylum demon? It's like a mini asylum demon. There we go. So yeah, once again, what puts it over the edge for me is that, once again, graphics are not everything. I hate the fact that graphics is always a thing that people are like, this is what truly makes a game good. And then there's, of course, other examples of frickin' look at the stupid thing Capcom said about Resident Evil recently, or at least some of whoever said that kind of crap, where they're like, oh, the newer Resident Evils are the definitive versions because, graphically better, and now they're trying to rely on the DS5 or SS or whatever the hell it's called. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, I killed a cow. Whoops. Thanks for spawning the cow in.
Torn to bits.
Don't worry. Witcher still has chances. That is only the first category. Remember, there are 27, sorry, that I had to narrow it down to. So, yeah, just because Skyrim wins the first one doesn't mean that it wins in total. Let's get to the next one. Let's talk about leveling, because both games have this. Actually, this one's a hard one for me because I'm like, what the frick do I even say here? They're both very different in their leveling. Witcher's probably closer to how like Fallout and such do leveling, the Fallout games, because leveling is tied to completing your quests and such, doing quest stuff, and activities within the said quests. But I saw some red there. Oh, there we go.
Looks like he's suffocated. Horrible way to die.
But in the Elder Scrolls series, and it's the same with Skyrim, it's tied to your actions mostly. The
applied golemancy.
The leveling. Like if you were to use your one-handed or your two-handed, or jump around, or run, or something, or sneak.
Looks like he's suffocated.
Oops, accidentally.
Horrible
Like the same person to talk about. And it's tied more to that, and I think that's a really unique leveling system, where The Witcher's kind of doing the same leveling system we've seen every RPG do. And this really was really a hard one to decide between, as they're both balanced fairly well on their level scaling.
Not what I'm looking for.
And then there's the... Did I separate? I think I separated the skill tree. I think I should technically combine that, but I have more to talk about that later. Let me just check here. So, where is it? There it is. Oh, okay, I see where I put it. You know what? Let's put skill tree and leveling. Yeah, let's put skill tree and leveling as well. I'm going to move that to this one because I think it would make more sense to talk about it here than in the category I put it in. So let's talk about the skill tree next, combined with that. The skill trees, I think that's really hard to talk about. I think that Skyrim has a better looking skill tree, like it's more presentable. But I think that The Witcher's, that is also a hard one to say. Man, you see how these like stump me when I have to talk about them? I forgot to mention earlier when I'm talking about my collections. If you've seen the videos where I show my Witcher and my Elder Scrolls collection, I technically have more Witcher stuff than I do Elder Scrolls stuff. Mostly because Elder Scrolls doesn't have a whole lot of merchandise or action figures or anything. It really doesn't have much, which is just really surprising to me, and I would love if they had more. I don't know why they don't have more. But, I'm trying to think. Let me take a look at its skill tree again. It's like broken up in each of these branches, which Skyrim does very similarly. And then you have the mutations that you can use for vitality and attack power and all that to increase it. You have all these places that you can actually add these abilities, so you're kind of restricted on which ones you want to build your character with. This is a good way of doing it, where Skyrim, the skill tree, while you can still use it to be whatever role you want to play, probably limiting it is a better thing to do than what Skyrim does, because you could legitimately just decide on the fly. Yeah, this is a hard one to talk about. I think it's got to balance it out with the leveling itself, and I just find Skyrim's a little better, and here I said maybe Skyrim, by the way, for who wins this one. Even when I was doing this one, I still said maybe on something. So, technically Skyrim wins the first two. I don't have these in a certain order, by the way, so I should have put them in a certain order. But I think that's what's going to balance that one out. Alright, let's go to the inventory system. Okay, this is Witcher. This one's clearly Witcher. Skyrim, while I don't mind, if you're talking about vanilla Skyrim, which we're not going to count mods or anything, if you're talking about just vanilla Skyrim inventory system, then yeah, it's gotta be Witcher. Skyrim's is just too much of a mess. You have to sort through all of your crap, especially if you have hundreds of crap in your inventory. You just have to go down the long list. When you pull up your inventory on The Witcher, it's a lot clearer to see the stuff, and it's put into individual places. While you still kind of have that problem, like, for example, look at my craft and alchemy section, but that's resorted more to your crafting and alchemy stuff. So once you pull up trying to craft alchemy potions and stuff, you don't need to worry as much, because then that section comes to play only there. It doesn't need to play a part unless you're selling junk, which even then they still manage to make it easy, because when you sell an individual thing or you drop an individual thing, it goes through the list one at a time, and you just can kind of easily do that, honestly, and it categorizes it like this, sort of, as it goes through the list. As you're, like, spamming the button, that is. But it is just a much better inventory system. Did I combine UI with this one, by the way? Let me see. Did I combine the UI? I don't think I did. No, I did not. I did not combine the UI. So yeah, this is clearly a win for The Witcher. Now, let's get to another one. How about the... Ooh. Okay, let's give another quick win to The Witcher, and that is mounts. Yeah, while I like running around in The Witcher more, and I'm not a fan of the mount in either game, if I'm being honest, I will say The Witcher's is better. Even though there's more variety in your mounts, and technically you can ride dragons in Skyrim, but it's limited to certain areas mostly where you ride the dragons around. So it's not like you can ride the dragon from one part of the map to the other. Okay, is this what I'm looking for? No, it's not. What am I looking for? These are the only things marked for me.
Gotta keep looking.
But, not only is Roach a character, it's funny, I just watched the, recent... There it is.
This is it.
Okay.
Commencing annihilation.
Damn tower wants to gas me.
Oh, too bad. Tower's not gonna win. Frick you, Tower. Roach's kind of feels more like a character, because, like, he's got a name, he's cared about by Geralt himself, and he's honestly, riding a horse in The Witcher is much better than riding a horse in Skyrim. So there's that. I had to disqualify some things because if I were to count stuff like followers, for example, or pets, Skyrim would have won those. So those were disqualified, by the way, since The Witcher doesn't really have those. It has mostly just momentarily, at that time, your follower kind of situations. Yeah, it took care of your thingy. I got your book. Let's go with UI next. So this is the UI of... When I'm talking about UI, I'm mostly talking about while you're playing the game. Like right here. This is your UI. And Skyrim, for a 2011 game, I gotta give Skyrim the win. Skyrim does something that's actually pretty smart. And that is the fact that it has a compass where it shows you things at the top of the screen instead of this big chunky map on the upper corner of your screen. And not only that, but you have your... Even though you can go into settings and change some things, I want to talk about the default UI. And while some of those things do disappear, like your health bar and stuff, look how much clutter there is on my screen. And I don't even have the health bar and such up right now because I would have to be in combat. Yeah, look at this. So you got like your food and your bolts and stuff, the bottom left. Then you got it telling you what buttons do what on the bottom right. Then your quests, whatever quest is active on the right, middle right, your mini-map, what time of day, and then just a symbol showing what the time of day kind of looks like. You can change that as well as what the weather is too. For some reason I'm hearing rain even though I'm indoors. Then you got all the effects and health and stamina and all that, and your any sign frickin' bar on the upper left side of your screen. There's just a lot more clutter and sadly Ubisoft-esque kind of UI going on here. So yeah, where games like Dead Space kind of figured out a way getting around it, and then you got Skyrim has just you got the health bar, stamina, and the magicka bar at the very bottom, and they disappear depending on what you're using or not using. And then you got like the frickin' bar at the top. There's also the fact that once a weapon or armor piece gets damaged, that also shows up on your screen, so there's just too much clutter with the UI. And once again, like I said, you can technically go into settings and change some of this stuff, but the default version of both games, Skyrim clearly wins that one, as it has less clutter on your screen. If we're talking the UI of like this stuff, like how they set up your menu, which I think I have as a category already, so I don't think I have to worry about talking about it here. Let me just see. Not... Did I forget this? Oh no, it would have counted in inventory. So The Witcher 1 inventory, and yeah, I would say The Witcher would win this setup as well in the inventory section. So yeah, like the way it sets up its quests. Though honestly, Skyrim isn't very different from the way it does its quests too. I mean, you have to scroll down a long list of quests, same as you do in this. And then it tells you what it is on the side. So yeah, it's not very far off, but I will say that The Witcher is a little better because at least you have like some cool art in the background and stuff in certain sections. Yeah.
How you like that silver?
What the hell? Frick you. I think boss battles is another section. Oh, there. Yeah, there's the durability. You see how it shows my frickin' entire armor set plus both my swords.
What now?
It's just too much clutter for the UI. Perfect. Glad I have those. I need some armor repair kits. So yeah, UI is definitely a win for Skyrim when it comes to that, at least the on-screen UI. What can I do next? I think I want to save those for last. How about durability? This was a hard one to talk about, as Witcher really only is the only one with durability. Now, I can see the argument between both of these, in which one people have a preference to.
Gottfried's treatise proved
In
highly useful.
If you're a fan of stuff like
Have you not heard that
the Gothic series or frickin' Morrowind and such, where some of those games will give you things to micromanage and such. Yeah, it's another layer of like thought and like what you have to put
Consider it done.
effort into.
And should you ever visit Covey,
It's kind of like a bunch of doing chores, which not everybody likes. But what if I want to leave the place?
Not this way, the door.
Well, you're welcome, Geralt. Yes, I did save you from the giant. You're welcome. So with durability, I can see some people not liking it and liking it, because it adds that extra layer of something to do, as well as like micromanaging and such. A lot of people play like micromanaging kind of games. I mean, that's what a lot of phone games kind of do. Make you micromanage stuff, though they don't do it in a good way. And then you got
Now, didn't I tell you? It's what a witcher we needed. Hey, can't do better than an expert. And expert work deserves a fitting reward.
Thank you. Couldn't agree more.
Skelligers were honest folk.
Hey, well, if you ever
Your
come
mom.
through here again, stop it. You'll be welcomed with open arms.
Where Skyrim, like, you don't have to worry about constantly repairing your weapons and armor. And while it's not really as annoying in The Witcher,
Did you happen to see me brother in there?
I can see
He went in with the
also
druid and
the
other
argument of somebody just wanting to have fun and not wanting to have something get in their way.
I found your friends. All dead, unfortunately. Sorry.
Told him not to go, but he wanted glory.
Let's go home, Jan. No point standing here.
So this is a hard one to go.
Farewell, Witcher.
If you're going to ask me, I don't mind either, but I think that you do kind of get your weapons become too durable, or your armor or whatever gets broken way too often or close to being broken. And since it contributes to the annoying, like, another thing on your frickin' UI on your screen, it is a little frustrating at times. So I gotta go with Skyrim on this one too, because this is just, it's more of a nuisance than it is like an actual adding a challenge, an extra challenge to the game. And a lot of time, if you have a really strong game, and since you can see I can just constantly whack away at enemies until they die, kind of like any game, honestly, it's not really as much a detriment. But yeah, it does get in the way, sort of. So I gotta give that to frickin' Skyrim. Okay, romances. This is also an interesting one, as Skyrim technically has more characters to romance. You can marry them, you can have children, well, not have children, but you can at least, another person has a quest here, hello. You can at least adopt children and have a home and such. Where there's not really much of that going on in The Witcher, but you have romances, and and whores. I will say the balancing point is in The Witcher's favor. Even though I do like some of the romanceable partners, like if you take Ayla the Huntress, for example, there is a lot of character to her. She does get a lot of character development because she's connected to a faction, the guild called the Companions. But what's going to edge it over for me is the fact that The Witcher has characters that are important romances, important characters to the overall plot, story, and connection to Geralt. So you feel much more connected with those romances than you probably would in Skyrim, where they're mostly nameless nobodies, and literally some of the romances can just be you saving their ass, and then they're like, hey, wanna marry? Want to get hitched? And of course, I love funny things like there's a chance if you want to try and have a threesome with Yennefer and Triss, they're just like, we're tying you to the bed, bitch, and having some wine. So there's just really great character moments, and I think because you feel more connected to the characters, that's what edges The Witcher a little bit more. The characters are more important there. Romance-wise. So that is edged in The Witcher's favor. Once again, I do like the romanceable partners in Skyrim, and I'm hoping that they will do better with that kind of stuff in the future Elder Scrolls, though. If you're going to ask me, do I have more hope for Witcher 4 or for Elder Scrolls 6? Even though I'm a bigger Elder Scrolls fan, I'm trying not to let my bias get in the way of this video. I have more hopes for The Witcher 4 in the future. So I really want the Elder Scrolls 6 to be good, but there's just so many things pointing to it not ending well. But I do want it to be good, and there's so many possibilities you could make it really good. But it's just not looking that way. Let's put another quest up, by the way, because it keeps putting me with the main quests, and I'm trying to get some of these like contracts, secondary quests, and treasure hunts out of the way. Oh my gosh, why is everything gotta be a race or a freaking Gwent quest now? Give me some legit quests. I have a man who oversees the path. Let's try and do this one. I'm almost done. I shouldn't say I'm almost done. There's a lot to frickin' do, nonetheless, with most of the quests in this game. Oops, this is to the arena thing, isn't it? Let's go around. You probably see me not use Roach as much, mostly because right now, like, I can just kind of walk to these. I don't know, I just don't like riding mounts unless it's a game I know I'm a big fan of riding the mounts around in, but I will say this game is better when it comes to mount riding. Like I said earlier. Hello?
I don't know you. You don't know me. So what's your problem?
These isles were ours alone once.
Let's get into... I kind of want to save some of the bigger topics for later.
The good days, those.
So let's get into sound and music, and then voice acting.
Who's asking, and why?
Then I think I should do random encounters next. Okay, sound and music. This was a hard one as well. I found that I like the sound design better in this. Like, for example, when you're in the Witcher vision, and you hear all the different sounds around you, it mutes other sounds, and you can hear mostly, like, the animals, the monsters and stuff.
Tell me about the mountain.
It's really interesting, and I think it does a great job of that. That's not to say that Skyrim doesn't have good sound design, but it is older sound design. So I gotta appreciate Witcher's a little more. Then you got music. This is a frickin' hard one because I love the music of both. Whenever I play, for example, if I play Soul Calibur 6, I'm like, can I have the Witcher track because it's the only one I like on that entire soundtrack? Can I also have the Witcher Arena on that because it's the only arena I like in that entire game? That's not to say the others are weak. I just, every time I gotta play that, I'm like, I gotta go with the Witcher stuff because it's like, I just don't tear like the other stuff. The music's just not as good, and the frickin' levels feel just like, here's a platform with water surrounding it. Here's a platform with lava surrounding it. That's like what most of the arenas in that game feel like.
Well, I'm not scared to try.
Not just foreign, but
So-
dumb too. Well, no curing that. Well, run to the top of Mount Articlove.
But yeah, I love the music
Then reach the cave.
in The Witcher.
At its end,
It's
you'll find
frickin'
something
awesome.
I'm not about to
I
describe.
will say Skyrim's is a little more, you can hum to it, and it does come across a little bit more memorable, especially since it's been around for years now. Many, many
What do I
years.
do to
Whoops.
complete-
Whoops.
Bring me that with the shawl.
I was trying to collect this thing next to you, dude.
Best blade's not worth shite if a weak arm's swinging it, eh?
Okay, Path of the Warriors. Oh, hi. Got a harpy. Or not a harpy, a siren. There are harpies in this game, but that is not one of them. I see somebody died here. Ooh. There's a lot of sirens around. Okay, it's not letting me jump anymore.
That stench.
Get down. Oh, frick. I don't want to frickin' die. I don't want to fall. This is a terrible arena. I'm trying to get up here. There we go. I'm up. There we go. This is a little bit more open. Frick off. There you go. Okay. Now it is just you. Perfect. Get the frick out of my way. Oh, good's the frickin'... Okay, there we go. There's one good. Anyways. Those bitches out of the way. Yeet. I need to get my list back up, sorry. So it keeps closing on me, which frickin' sucks. But yeah, I think after much debate with myself, even though I do really like Skyrim's music, I will say the music is utilized more and better in The Witcher, as well as it is really good. It is really good music. Once again, I do love Skyrim. I even have a friend who can pretty much sing the entirety of the main Dragonborn theme, which is just crazy. It's kind of like having a friend who can quote the entirety of Monty Python Holy Grail. It's like, what the, how the hell? How the hell do you do that? Am I going backwards now? Where am I? Oh, that was close. But I didn't catch it for a second there. I do like this TV show armor. But yeah, I'm going to give it to The Witcher, even though I love the soundtrack of Skyrim. And bias-wise, I would have gone for it, but I think Witcher is technically better and better utilized. As you can also hear the soundtrack right as we speak. Where Skyrim, a lot of it is more atmospheric kind of music, but you don't always notice it, which I guess that is the point. But this does the same thing while also still being noticeable in a good way. Where it's not too in your face.
white-haired one goes to his death. Nay, no foreigner can traverse the path of warriors.
Well, I'm gonna rob from your house if you don't mind. I don't care. What is this, Skyrim? That'll be something to talk about later. But yeah, it's gonna... Oh great, what do I have to fight now? The more sirens or harpies? It's harpies. Whee! Can you get somewhere where I can actually fight you? God damn it, I can't fight them.
Show me what you got.
Frick you. Damn it. Not close enough. Get over here. There you go. Success? Success? I mean, what? I didn't say anything.
Place of power. Should draw from it.
Hell yeah. Alright, let's move to the next category. So I think NPCs will be a later one. So I want to do voice acting. I made a video about the voice acting of Skyrim a while back. Oh, that already, okay. Ooh, unique sword. So I made a video about the voice acting of Skyrim, and I defended it because it's meant to be more goofy. It's not meant to be taken as seriously. Where in some places it's like it needs to be serious enough. It's kind of like that Naked Gun thing, almost. Not really, but almost. And they do a fine enough job. You got very memorable voice talents and stuff in the game. You're not gonna forget frickin' Nordic voice all over the place. The Nordic voice you hear everywhere. You're not gonna forget those voices. Even if they are distracting and how many people are being voiced by the same person. It's still good voice acting and still good voices. However, that does mean that The Witcher wins this one. I know I'm jumping to the who wins this, but you already know why. There's a lot more put into the voice acting here. The cast is very talented. You feel like you're kind of watching a movie, or you're part of a almost movie experience, dramatic movie experience, while they can still have fun and be funny too, genuinely. So it still works, very much so in its favor. But yeah, the voice acting is superb, and I did not know that he was going to climb this. Good job, Geralt. Good job, Gary. There's a lot more effort put into the voice acting. The voice actors stand out for how strong their talent is. Ooh, now we're in the lower half of the warrior trial. No drowners down here? Would think there'd be drowners or something. Or more sirens. Might be ahead. Okay. Anyways. I do love the voice acting once again, and I can see somebody arguing for both sides, but the utilization of the voice actors, once again, just like romances, is more important here. They give importance and weight to why the voice acting is there and exists. And that weight carries through both the dialogue and the story, character development, and more. That's not to say Skyrim doesn't do that stuff. It just doesn't do it as strongly in those areas, at least. I feel like I need more explanation than that, but I'm sure that you get what I'm saying. One makes it more important than the other. And yeah, there are times where the voice acting isn't the greatest in Skyrim, but I wouldn't say that's all of the voice acting. And more so, it's not that the voice acting is bad, it's that more you're noticeably gonna see who's voice acted by the same person over and over again, so it can distract. I mean, technically that is kind of the same in The Witcher. Like that guy I said sounded like the father from Hellblade. His name was Sacrifice. I heard his voice a lot in this game, so he was multiple people for sure. But I didn't get that nearly as much as Skyrim, of course. So I think that's what edges one out over the other. If there's gonna be a NPC, you know what? I'll just jump into NPCs next. Now, NPCs, there are a lot of NPCs in both these games. Ooh. And I'm mostly talking about not enemy NPCs, but like civilians and allies and stuff. And while once again companions are not going to count in this, like I said earlier, I do have to talk about NPCs nonetheless. And when it comes to this part, take for example, you're walking through one of the major cities in The Witcher. There's a lot of nameless NPCs that really just don't serve a point or a purpose, where there are specific NPCs that have quests and such. Sometimes you'll have a random NPC that has a quest, but that's not always the case. Where most NPCs in Skyrim, almost every single one has some sort of task connected to them and has more importance to their characters, and you get to know them more instead of just being faceless names that stand before you. So while Witcher is better with its main cast of characters, it is not so much better in its just population of characters. Where the frick is this quest? It says it's below me. I have to go back in the cave? What's going on here? I have to go back in the cave. I don't understand what's going on. Jump around. But yeah, a lot of those NPCs are just there for show. None of them have... Why isn't he climbing this? Like, he can clearly grab that ledge. Geralt. Climb. Okay, I guess I can't. That is weird. Getting stuck on crap constantly. Whatever. Let me check my map. Okay, it shows something there. And it shows something here. Do I have to go back through there? Please tell me I don't have to go back through there. That's frickin' annoying. That is frickin' annoying. What? I don't even know where I entered from. Where did I enter from, bro? Because I can't jump back through the area I just got to. That is dumb. That is really dumb. I'm deducting points. No, I'm just kidding. The hell? Seriously, where the frick did I enter through? I don't remember. I know where I exited, but I don't know where I entered through. Because it won't, for some reason, let me grab that goddamn ledge that I can clearly grab, or at least look like I can clearly grab. That is dumb as hell. What the hell? Let me grab the goddamn ledge, you dumbasses. I'm gonna have to find a way to get cheeky with this. Yeah, I can clearly grab that. If I can grab this, why can't I grab that? There we go. I figured something out. Alright, where the frick is this thing I need to collect? Is it in the water? I think it's in the water, yeah. There it is. Yeah, I think that... There it is. Okay, now I can go back up. That was annoying. So glad I was able to figure something out. Otherwise, I would have been pissed. Wait, why is it showing something right here? Or is it just because it wants me to leave the cavern? I think that's what it wants. Whoa, frick! God damn it. No, Geralt, turn around. Since... You know what? That leads me to my next category. So, Skyrim 1 wins NPCs, in my opinion. Even though NPCs can't be dumb. But honestly, they can be dumb in both games. At least they're named NPCs. At least they're NPCs that have purpose to them. Main characters in the game have purpose for Witcher, but side characters have purpose in Skyrim. Like side NPCs and stuff. Bro. Through the caverns and talk. Let's use the path. Why is it still pointing down there? Do you see that? Why the frick is it still... Whatever. I reached the end of the tunnels, didn't I? I'm going back in. This is weird. I don't know why it's still showing a marker there. Come on. But let's talk about frickin'... Crap, I forgot. Oh my gosh. Probably don't even need to do this. Bro, come on. Movement. That's right. Skyrim wins. And I had this decided, by the way, even before this jank that I'm going through right now. While Skyrim is an older game, its movement does not annoy the crap out of me. I've had times in this game, like you're seeing now, where the movement is just weirdly jankier than an older game. And I don't know if it's trying to do that on purpose or what. Like, it's trying to be like, oh, this is like older games that you remember. But I don't think it always works well. Like, for example, when you run into a building, you're suddenly slowed down. And while you can run, then there's just the movement itself is just not nearly as smooth as Skyrim's, technically. Like, if I were to turn my character around in Skyrim, I can turn them around pretty smoothly, pretty quickly, and such. But if I were to turn them around in The Witcher, whether it's on mouse or keyboard, this counts for both, since I do have the PC version of both games, the movement of the actual character themselves will not move nearly as fast. And it once again comes into play of that the game's trying to be realistic. So it's even trying to do that with the movement. And because it's trying to be more realistic in certain areas, it is kind of a detriment. I'm just going to go to the guy because I don't see any other reason to be here. That's just a marker for the sake of being a marker at this point, so I'm just going to go to the dude. I left the cave. I am technically gone from it, so frick you, cave. But the movement is so much smoother in Skyrim compared to this. And off of the strongest point I have to make has to be the character movement, especially. And it can be jank. Jumping, since you can jump up an entire mountain and such in Skyrim, just tells you that the movement's much better, where you can do the same thing in The Witcher, but you're likely going to have the chance of just your character randomly wanting to slide all the way back to the bottom of the hill. Like, it's that one... It's like Baby Legs. Is that the name of the game? Where you're trying to climb an entire frickin' mountain and just to end up one time you trip and you end up way back at the bottom. It's not nearly as annoying as that, and that's supposed to play into the whole point of the challenge of that game. But here, it's much more annoying. Oh, there's an enemy nearby. Let me take care of him. Is that a bear?
Come on.
Why do their bears have beards? A beard bear. Frick off. But yeah, movement is clearly better in Skyrim, and that is a win for Skyrim. Hello, sir.
You bring news?
Path of yours wasn't easy.
Ah.
I managed to get to
Let's
the end.
move on to the next category, shall we?
First Outlander to complete the trial. A feat worthy
And
of
this is mostly a
respect.
discussion video. It's
I'll
not
make
meant to
sure
be
news
super
of your deeds
professional or
spreads
anything
across the
too, so
Five
keep
Isles.
that in mind. Let me get rid of some of these categories so that they're out of the frickin' way now. So we talked about this.
Grand old swords,
And
but I prefer me trusty axe.
this. Talk about this. Oh yeah, overburdened or
Grand old
weight
swords,
in the
but I
game.
prefer me trusty axe.
This is also Skyrim. Yes, I know you prefer your trusty axe. Swords are cooler, though, so frick you. But, yeah, it's funny that over-encumbered or overburden comes into play. 60 fricking weight, carry weight. Even as a default or a beginning starting carry weight, while it's not nearly as annoying as made out to be, it's annoying as made out to be. I prefer Skyrim. At least you have, like, I think 200 to 300 carry weight in that game. It may be a little generous, and you could say this is the same thing as, like, durability, where it's just another trait you have to keep an eye on. It's getting a little ridiculous here when it comes to carry weight. It's like, come on. Once again, I think it's trying to be realistic, though. Carrying this many swords and gems and stuff and armor in your inventory really isn't realistic anyways, so I don't think that necessarily works here. But come on, overburden is clearly in Skyrim's favor here, because why would you just have 60? And then the fact that I keep getting overburden constantly in this game, it really is annoying. You can break both games with the overburden by just riding a mount, and then you don't have to worry about being overburdened. But still, Witcher's more annoying with it, with the weight system. It happens way too often. It gets to be a nuisance faster. It just doesn't need to be that much of a problem to you. So yeah, I'm giving Skyrim that win. Because while I can see the argument for it, I don't agree. Once again, it plays into that funny thing where I've heard people say they want to have fun with their RPGs. Well, there you go. I want to have fun with my RPG. Can I not have the burden weight get in my face constantly? Or, like, a lot, I should say. Not constantly, but a lot, that is for sure. Let's see. Do I need to repair anything? There we go. Okay. Now, I should go... Yeah, let's see if we can sell some stuff. Oh, is he sleeping? Damn it. Frickin' sleeping. I also did not add the day-night cycle mechanic, by the way, because I think both games are pretty much equal on that. And there's times when stores are opened or closed that are very similar to one another, so I don't think I'm going to talk about that. But yeah, Skyrim wins the overburden part. The romance was Witcher. Okay. Okay, I mentioned character segment here, so I kind of already talked about that with, talked about the romances, but, like, I'm talking, like, characters in general. While I do find myself remembering a lot of the characters, especially since within different cities, you can remember a lot of the characters easier. It doesn't throw too many characters at you like Oblivion does and such. Like, for example, in a guild, each guild won't throw way too many characters at you. Some characters do get kind of tossed aside too, so there's that as well. Do I have stuff to sell, actually? Because I kind of want to put some of this stuff into my box. I have this to sell. I can sell this. Everything else kind of can go in my storage box. I do like that you have an ender chest in this game, essentially. Yeah, let's meditate. I do think if I was to give a point to this, that it would have probably gone in Skyrim's favor because resting is a lot easier to get to and have happen than kind of this game. Though this is fast, technically. This is pretty fast, but you have to go through this menu, then scroll over, meditation, select the time, then wait that time, which isn't that long, honestly, be back or circle back, get out, wait for his animation to stand up. There we go. There's just a lot more going on there than what Skyrim has. So if I was to put that in there, Skyrim would have won that. But Skyrim is not going to win that because I did not make it a category. And I'm glad I did not, because it has no point. It's way too quick a category to talk about. It does not need to exist. So with characters, once again, Witcher characters are much more important unless you're talking about NPCs, but this isn't about NPCs, this is about characters. There are great characters in Skyrim, there are also characters that get kind of tossed aside also in Skyrim. They're still characters, and you can still interact with them, but not nearly on the level of, say, Triss or Yennefer. So this is a hard one, as I do really like the characters of both, but the characters serve more, once again, an important goal and motivation in the overall story and character development of The Witcher. Alright, now I can get that the frick out of the way. Also, what is this quest it's leading me to? Is this another main... Stop putting the main quests on, damn it! I want to do the side quests. Alright, what do we got here? Wait a minute, Fist of Fury. Go to... What? It's got another one of these. I'm gonna do this one. Alright. It's over there, okay. Oh no. Can I even get through there? Because I think I have to complete... Oh, crap. I don't think I can get through there. Alright, we'll do the other quest. Damn it. Let's go find a signpost and go to that. Let's talk about, you know what, fast travel. Let's talk about fast travel next. Since this is kind of helping me figure that stuff out, which categories I can go to, since I'm about to fast travel. Oh, I could have ran over here. So, both games have interesting ways of approaching fast travel, where you have to run to a sign or ride your horse to a sign, and then fast travel via that, and find another sign to fast travel to. That is kind of the old way games do it too. Kind of like Morrowind with the Soul Striders, or the certain specific areas you can travel from, though it doesn't always tell you where those travel points are. Skyrim is a mixture of both Morrowind and Oblivion. In Oblivion, you immediately have each of the major cities you can fast travel to once you get out of the first dungeon. Once you're out of the first dungeon, you immediately can fast travel to any city. I don't like that. But in Morrowind, you had to use your gold, which could have been important for other things, but you have to, once again, it's another micromanage thing, to fast travel, use fast travel to get from one place to another, but you're sacrificing gold for it. This, you're not sacrificing gold, but you also still need to find a specific area in which you can fast travel from, which they do have more of it than carriages in Skyrim or boats in Skyrim. But here's the thing that balances Skyrim out. Once you discover those locations, you can fast travel to any one of them and get there. While some see that as a detriment to Skyrim, I see it as a plus side, because it's doing a little bit of both what Morrowind and Oblivion is doing. It's finding that balancing ground between the both of them. And I think it does a great job with that, where Witcher, while I can see people liking it better, I prefer... Once again, it goes into that argument people make, by the way, because I remember this is going to play into a part later, by the way, of people saying, we just want to have fun with the game. Because people... So this is the thing that I'm talking about. People talk about, like, when you break into somebody's home and you steal stuff. People just want to have fun, right? People just want to have fun with a game. So they don't want some cop coming up to them, or the equivalent of a cop, which would be a Skyrim guard, coming up to them and arresting them for stealing stuff. Even though you can't, if you're in the Thieves Guild, you can't have a dialogue option of telling them look the other way or whatever. So it's not really that much of a problem. It ironically has a realistic element that Witcher doesn't there. And then not only that, but when people argue, I want to just have fun, it seems more of the categories I'm getting into with The Witcher, though, are not as fun as some of the categories that Skyrim has, that would be a detriment otherwise. So you're technically going to have more fun with the element in Skyrim. That is a chonky dog, by the way. Can I have him? I wish you could pet animals in this. Also, I didn't add pets because Skyrim would have also won that, because you can't interact with cats or dogs or anything. They just run away from you. You can at least interact or at least have a pet by your side and fight with you in Skyrim. So just be glad I didn't add that also. No follower-related things. Because those are just tiny little things that don't need to really be talked about. Anyways, am I at my quest, by the way? I think I'm at my quest. Sorry, I'm mostly standing around. Yeah, my quest is on the other side in this little town. There are a lot of goddamn towns and stuff. They did do a really good job in the detail. I'll talk about the world in a bit, because I think that is an important one. I kind of want to save that more for last, if I'm being honest. So let's get character segments out of the way and move on. Alright, we got campaign and or story. So Skyrim's campaign, like I said, is more like the equivalent of Lord of the Rings. It's simplistic, but it's important. The Witcher is closer to Game of Thrones. It's lengthy, but also has some strong strengths and importances to it. And you'll find yourself playing much longer hours of The Witcher's campaign than you will Skyrim. Some people don't even bother with a campaign of Skyrim, which is probably a problem with it. But I do like both games' campaigns. But clearly, The Witcher put a lot more effort and time in those the important characters and such that I mentioned earlier, the importance of them and how they play into the overall plot and story is a lot stronger here. So clearly, I gotta go in favor of The Witcher on this one, as The Witcher just has a much more powerful campaign, powerful story, powerful characters that help contribute to that story. Hav. Oh, sorry. But there's just much more weight and importance put on this story, as well as just, like, how much people focus to it. You could argue that maybe because it's longer that people are less likely to complete it as much as Skyrim's. There's a quest over here. Let's go get that. Frick. See what I mean about the movement?
Go to the Druids, Wanderer.
Hello.
Aren't any good with wraiths.
Oh, suppose you're better.
Oh, they got
Shut
druids.
your dog. He's better than any.
But yeah,
Witcher there. Listen,
I
it's
gotta
our
give
arena.
it to The
We're gonna
Witcher.
raid
It's
that
got the
once
more
a-
important
Damn if we
campaign.
know how to drive
Even
it off.
treats side
Do you think you can
quests importantly as well.
This wraith, I can probably manage it. Need the details.
What do you want to know?
So that is in favor of The Witcher winning that one. That category. I know I'm very simple. I'm trying to get through these as fast as I can too.
Know anything about this specter?
So it really helps to have weight to your characters and stuff, especially when it comes to your story. Right, we're getting down to some of the last ones. I think I can get rid of voice acting, sound, music, and mount. I've already talked about those. Did I talk about random encounters? That's another one I don't think I talked about. I talked about NPCs. Okay. I should also mention DLCs at some point. And boss battles. Okay. We're getting there. There's still quite a bit. We already talked about art.
And that's when Ula, who couldn't take it no more,
We already art style and such.
as he died, Thoma cursed Ula. May ye lose again and again for centuries on end. That's
Okay.
Ever since.
So how many do we have? I can.
Mean there have been those who've
Let's
tried to defeat
also
him.
remove movement.
Everyone's beating him. Poor bugger keeps
There you
coming
go.
back, though.
1,
And
2,
organized normal fights precisely
3,
because of
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We have 15 more. Goddamn. Holy crap. Alright. Oh, maybe I should talk about, I already talked about fast travel. Oh, I accidentally had... Okay, I'll have to talk about that separately then. Frick. That's not great. I mean, that doesn't change anything, but still. You know what? Maybe that should be part... You know what? I'm going to put that here instead, so that's not in the way.
What kind of an arena is this?
It's an arena, like any other. The custom was for the best warriors to clash here. Speaker-og bouts were famous all across Skellige.
Then one day a wraith showed up.
How did you know? Told you. He's a witcher. A cunning man. He knows these
Okay.
things.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, I think 14 left. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. Stability and glitches. Okay, this is an interesting one. I'll take the job.
Could try my hand at driving away this specter. Not for free, though.
Get it done, and we'll pay you the champion's purse. And the premium from our earnings to come. Once the fighting begins.
So,
After the curse
both...
is lifted. Oh,
When I've been playing, I have had glitches in The Witcher. If you saw some of my previous videos, you saw Kira or whatever just constantly with a book stuck to her hand or glued to her arm, which was weird. So there's definitely glitches in this game. And I have had the game crash since my last, I think, stream or two. The game crashed, and I just decided to end the stream there. But it does take a while for both games to eventually crash, especially nowadays if you're talking about the remastered Skyrim too. But I will say, of course, while some glitches have been added in on purpose.
You here to fight for the title of champion?
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid you'll have to wait. Arena's closed on account of a certain incident. An incident to be examined, conclusions to be drawn so it don't happen again.
Sure to win. Come to face the ghost of the arena. Don't be shy. I'll defeat Ula the Unlucky. Just spare me your jabber, your cries of die, wraith, and I shall defeat you, spectre of the arena. I've heard them all 1,000 times. Dreadful sick of them.
Okay.
You're no typical wraith.
But clearly when it comes to stability and glitches, The Witcher is much more stable and has much less glitches than Skyrim. There's notorious Skyrim glitches, then there's annoying ones, then there's ones that are so iconic they put them back in the game, like a giant rocketing you into a frickin' air with their club.
And it'll be so
You
with
being
those
part
who
of the
come after
space
you.
system.
Such is my fate.
Time
I'm to
to be
tarry
part of
here till the
NASA.
world's
Woohoo!
end, losing everything
You know, that
along
kind of
the
thing.
way.
But yeah, Witcher clearly does win, being a just more
But you've
stable,
not come to chat.
consistently stable, but also, I lost the word for it. It's, I know you know what I mean though.
Draw your weapon.
Drawing. But make it quick. And not too much drama if you don't mind.
If you don't mind. Wow, he really is unlucky.
Well done. You done it. Bravo. Be back again soon. So long.
That was easy.
That was useless. Others have defeated Ula before me, and he's always come back. Gotta think of something else.
Fights is still suspended. Awful sorry.
Spike Brood. We gotta go to. Where is Spike Brood?
Foreigner, what's your step?
Nope.
Fights is still suspended. Awful sorry. Hey?
Okay, nope.
Well, what is it?
Well, if you don't mind, I'm gonna steal all your goods. Hello.
Seek adventure elsewhere.
Why should I seek it elsewhere? That's a place in Skyrim, not in The Witcher. Also, I cannot judge which game has the best sense of humor either. They both have good sense of humor. And sometimes Skyrim can be unintentionally funny. That goes in the glitches category. That goes in the glitches category. Damn it. This house is locked, and I can't lockpick it or sneak. Damn.
What can I say?
Alright. Go to Spike Roog. Isn't that the guy I beat? Find out about this mysterious opponent.
Foreigner, what's your step?
Who is Spike? Isn't he Spike Roog? Let's take this. What if I wait like an hour? He's not back yet. Showing the quest right here.
Fights is out of me. Aye, aye, hero.
This is weird. I can't talk to anybody. I don't know what's going on here. Had already won a great many victories. Well, fist fighting. Remain undefeated, waiting for Geralt to challenge him for his title.
They smear your ass with honey yet, hero.
It's not. This is weird. What is hard times? Oh yeah, I can't deliver that. Find a way to send them on to the afterlife. How do I do that? Test it there. Metal in the arena found near the cliffs on the north. Okay. Alright, Geralt. Start dancing and drinking in merriment. He's not gonna do it. Frick.
Well, my dad's off fighting the black ones.
Greetings.
Know anything about this specter? When did it first appear?
The Grandad told me. His Grandad said the rate was called
Right.
Ula the Unlucky. Lost every bout he entered.
I think
yet
we
always
can...
recovered from his wounds.
Let's go to random encounters
One
next.
day, Jarl Hormar called a tournament in the arena.
Now let's do random
Those
encounters
days, they drew
next.
lots to choose
And I
their
want to get
foes,
potions out
and
of the way
Jarl
too.
drew
Random
Ula,
encounters, so in
Jarl was
this,
cocksure
once
he'd
again,
win.
because it's trying to be
So he
realistic, when you run into like a pack of
ridiculed him
wolves
till
or stuff,
all
it
in
does
the
feel
stands
more
were crying
like a
with
legitimate
laughter.
pack of wolves than what
Finally, he
Skyrim
raised
has,
his
where
arms
that
in
throws like
triumph,
2 or 3
and
wolves
that's
at you.
when Ula, who
But
couldn't take it no more,
it's an RPG, you got random encounters just like Pokemon and stuff. I will say random encounters happen. Once again, Witcher is more like Fallout, where it has specific areas that enemies can appear or be in. Where
I mean, there have been those who've tried to defeat him.
in Skyrim, you can, while it still does technically do that, you do have more of the random encounters, whether with NPCs or enemies. Also, enemy variety is kind of different between the two games. They both have a very similar amount of enemy types.
What kind of an arena
that
is
also
this?
fit their setting.
Arena, like any other.
the custom was for the best warriors to clash here.
But I think in terms of just like actually being a random encounter that keeps you on your toes every moment, where if you're traveling on the road a lot of the time in The Witcher and such, or even, I've even had times where I'll run through the woods. And the woods also legitimately feel more like woods, by the way, than Skyrim's woods. But there's not a whole lot going on in between those areas in here sometimes. Sometimes there won't even be anything.
Greetings.
Hold on.
What kind of an arena is this?
It's an arena, like any other.
The custom was for the best warriors to clash here. Speaker bouts were famous all across Skellige.
Speaker, that's how he's called.
Showed up.
How did you know?
Told you. He's a witcher. A cunning man. He knows these things.
Know anything about this specter?
The Grandad told me. His Grandad said the rate was called Ula the Unlucky. Lost every bout he entered, yet always recovered from his wounds. Ula weren't even able to die like a man.
Till one day, Jarl Hormar called a tournament in the arena. In those days, they drew lots to choose their foes, and the Jarl drew Ula, the Unlucky. Jarl was cocksure he'd win, so he mocked Ula, ridiculed him till all in the stands were crying with laughter. Finally, he raised his arms in triumph, And that's when Ula, who couldn't take it no more, stuck a dagger in his back.
As he died, Thoma cursed Ula. May ye lose again and again for centuries on end. That's what he said. Ever since, Ula's haunted the arena, looking for a fight and getting a few.
Mean there have been those who've tried to defeat him?
You kidding?
Do I have to lose a fight with him?
Keeps coming back though. Can't organize no normal
I think I have to lose a fight with him. Okay.
Thanks.
I didn't get it the first time, but I do this time. When's Ula reappear? Ula. After like rest again. Get him the frickin'. I'm like yawning already, even though it's not even that late. But I'm gonna give random and enemy encounters, since they're actually random and enemy encounters, to Skyrim. Now, while having its own bestiary and stuff, enemies are more important in The Witcher. As not only do you have to find out weaknesses and such, and use different potions, which I'm going to add this to the next one, which is the potions segment, the crafting potions, since it's made more important to The Witcher, and it serves a purpose in your combat with enemies. There he is. Back to sleep.
Come to face the ghost of the arena. Don't be shy. I'll defeat Ula the Unlucky.
Draw your weapon.
Draw in. But make it quick. And not too much drama if you don't mind.
Bad idea.
I hear laughter. And
oh my gosh, he disappeared.
Farewell, ghost.
Oh yeah. Guess there were technically 2 quests here.
Pester you anymore.
But I think because of your inventory system and the way it's set up, as well as how crafting is set up, it's much more easier to figure out and to work out in The Witcher, as well as serving a purpose. So it's made fun while also, and not as tedious, but also serves a purpose to your combat. Where I do like potions in Skyrim, and they have their own purposes and uses too. But it's just made, once again, that little bit more important in The Witcher.
Remember that. So long.
Though I'm not always good at using the... Wait, why is there still a quest on you guys? And spikes arena later to collect 3% of the taking. You said later. Let's go for 7 p.m. Alright.
Wanderer?
Oh, maybe I do. Okay. Okay. As potions are utilized for, like, figuring out weaknesses of enemies and such. Alright, I'm here to fight.
Oh, the mutant, eh? Don't make a face. It's good you're one. Ordinary blood
this
never
is
stand
my
a
normal
chance
face.
against
What are
a
you
champion
talking
of
about?
champions. You have come to challenge him, haven't you?
Anything I should know about my opponent? Had to fight a bear earlier. Bit surprised.
Go with him. He'll lead you where you need to go.
Behold, the champion of champions.
A rock troll. A very well-developed rock troll. This supposed to be a fist fight?
Aye, fists.
Oh, God.
Of course, we provide a dignified funeral, observing the rituals of the Challenger's Creed.
Current champion's a troll. Everybody all right with that? No one's got a problem?
Why would they? He's an honourable troll. Came and said he wanted to fight, and the previous champion agreed. That'd be Zama, known also as Sandylocks. And he got the name even
Let's get some of these quicker things I can talk about so that I can talk about the meatier things for last. So, iconic quotes and moments. This one's already one that I wasn't sure I wanted to include, but I had to, as I feel like people can argue that Witcher has some iconic stuff, but goddamn, I don't think it can compete with most of the stuff that has been memed on, that has been memorable and iconic from Skyrim, from you're finally awake, to the intro, to pretty much anything the guard's dialogue says. So let me guess, someone stole your sweet roll. It's kind of like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man of them, where The Witcher is more the equivalent of the Andrew Garfield, like, Spider-Man. I forget the name of the director. I think it's Mark Webb or something. I can't remember. But you know what I mean. It's kind of the thing Nostalgia Critic talked about, where one has more memorable dialogue that can be quoted, as well as even iconic and memorable scenes of its own. Where, like, climbing the 7,000 steps, or meeting Parthenax for the first time, your battle between you and Alduin, and both battles, your first time going to Sovngarde, riding a dragon for the first time. There's a bunch of stuff that it has. The most I can quote or remember to quote from The Witcher is and winds howling. That's the most I can remember. And most of it's just around The Witcher. So
I want to fight the champion of champions.
What do they call ye?
Geralt of Rivia. I'm ready to fight.
Geralt of Rivia, time to begin.
What's with the kid? So yeah, Skyrim is gonna honestly win the iconic quotes. I mean, if you'd taken an arrow to the knee, of course. Let's fight a troll with fists only, bitches. Why is it weirdly quiet? Let's do this. Why does it sound like a sword going against your armor? Fuck you. There we go. Hell yeah.
I did it.
Geralt of Rivia, you've defeated the champion of
Where's
champions
my
in
eyes?
fair combat.
Help.
Earned the right
My
to
eyes
bear
are gone.
the title yourself.
Oh, there they are.
This
Never
very
mind.
eve, I'll send word to the four corners of the world. The title is yours, as is the champion's prize.
Thanks, bitch. Oh. Hello, troll. Okay. Bye, troll. Oh wait, I gotta talk to this guy back here. What? Returned to the Skyrim arena later to collect your percent of the takings. Talk with the villagers about the problem in the arena? What? Let's talk to some of them. Okay, none of them want to talk.
Greetings, Geralt of Rivia.
Hey? Oh! Out of me sight. What is this here be? What do you want from me?
Oh, what the hell? There's people actually fighting in the arena now. Does nobody want to talk? It says talk to villagers about the problems in the arena. What did you say, lady? Oh, the boy. Okay. Sorry. Oh. There we go. Wind's howling. Alright, let's rest and get to the next category. We can also get rid of the previous one, I think. Unless I already did it. Ooh, factions is an interesting one. Should I do that or boss battles? I think I'm gonna do boss battles next. So Skyrim mostly has, like, they both have a variety of boss battles. From Skyrim having dragon priests, trolls, dragons, but Skyrim does recycle its bosses a little bit more, as well as Witcher makes the boss battles feel like actual boss battles. Now, if you're talking about how underwhelming Alduin is, and that he just feels like any other dragon, sure, I like the setting of both his boss battles more than I like the boss battles themselves, maybe. But I wouldn't say they're not any different from Eredine. I honestly found Eredine, like, once I fought all his cronies, his little wild hunt friends, which pretty much all kind of felt like very similar boss battles to one another, with maybe a gimmick or two to them. Like, one can probably teleport around or something, which isn't something yet uncommon from other enemies, like ghost enemies, for example, or raids. But, yeah. They feel legitimately more like boss battles. And honestly, Eredine, when I first fought him, he was very underwhelming. He was just a dude with a couple of arenas that you fought him in, or a couple of settings. And while they weren't bad either, they were, in my opinion, more underwhelming than the setting. The settings of the boss battles were more underwhelming than Skyrim's. But the boss battles themselves, well, Aerodyne was kind of a disappointment, even boss battle-wise. At least the majority of the boss battles in The Witcher are technically better and do feel more legit, like challenging boss battles. That's not to say Skyrim can't have that and legit good boss battles. There definitely are. But I think The Witcher stands out just that little bit more. And give you a boss battle feeling and a challenge. Some of the times, anyways. It's a very close one, though. I will say that is also a close one. Because Skyrim can sometimes do this thing with its boss battles where it also gives you kind of a puzzle boss battle that you have to solve or whatever. Oh, I forgot to do puzzles. I wouldn't say either of them do puzzles very differently. I do think maybe The Witcher is a little bit more intelligent than Skyrim's, but yeah, it's not too far off from one another. Both have a variety of puzzles to solve.
Keep together.
Why isn't this guy giving me my other half? What the hell? Give me my reward already, you dick. So let's get boss battles out of the way. That is a winner for The Witcher. Okay. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, we have 9 more to go. Alright. Factions, and then we can do DLC real quick. Even though there should be a lot to talk about there, which I think there kind of is. But let's talk about factions. Factions technically would have a lot as well. But with factions, oh, do I have to meet him late? Yeah, maybe it's that I have to meet him late. But yeah, factions are at work differently in both. In this game, you're already set as a part of the Witcher's faction at Kaer Morhen. And then you got like the factions that are at war with one another, like the Nilfgaardians and such. But while they do have important lore and a part to play in the world, they're not as interactable, and you can't really like join them or be a part of them to learn more about their... Well, you do get to learn more about them through other ways, but you don't get to be a part of them. They're not as important in that sense or way. Where in Skyrim you have tons of different factions, even the ones that you can't join and aren't as important, but still add to the world building. Like, for example, the Vigilance of Stendarr. But you can join a lot of factions from whether it's DLC factions like the Dawn Guard, or in the main game the different Stormcloaks or the Imperials, which you can join in the actual war, which you would think there would be an equivalent kinda of that in The Witcher. Witcher 3 at least, because you got like the Nilfgaardians and such. But they don't really do too much of that in the foreground involving the Witcher himself getting involved, but more so in the background. where you are a big part in playing how the war can play out. It may not be the best quest lines, of course, but it is important nonetheless. You know what? Since this guy's being a dickhead and not letting me frickin' complete this, let's go to some other, like, Witcher contracts and such. Oh, strange beast. There's the sign. There it is. But yeah, the factions are more important in Skyrim, and you get to know the characters that are part of those factions, for the most part anyway, and you can actually be part of them, play a role in them. They're not just off the side or play a role elsewhere, or you only learn about them from an outside point of view or from talking to NPCs involved in them, but not being able to be on the inside of them entirely. Like, I think the only one you're kinda can be part of, in a way, is where you're helping the Emperor find his daughter or whatever, Ciri. But that's pretty much it. That's mostly a task given, an important task given to him that would have been important to Geralt anyways, if he weren't told otherwise by the Emperor. So I gotta give Skyrim the win on factions, as they are more important. You actually get to join them and be part of them. Hell, you can even kill some of them. You can decide to destroy the entire Dark Brotherhood if you want, or not join them at all entirely. Just decide to not have anything to do with them. But yeah, I'm going to win to Skyrim there. Next is DLC, and DLC is a hard one because both have really large, awesome DLCs. And both are very similar, honestly, with their DLCs. Take, for example, Hearts of Stone, or whatever it's called, and then the Dawnguard DLC. They're both DLCs that take place mostly in the main area of Skyrim, except for a few dungeons, and Skyrim does go into some open world segments, like that snowy Snow Vale and such, and whatever that underworld place is called again. But yeah, there's more semi-open worlds with Skyrim's there. And then The Witcher 3 balances it out with Blood and Wine having a giant open world, but the Hearts of Stone mostly takes place in the main open world of The Witcher. But Skyrim also gives you various other DLCs. You could technically say that Skyrim's a little greedier with its DLC, but we're not going to talk about greed, because Witcher would technically win that, as that was not part of my competition with it. Why can't I talk to this guy? There we go.
Well, ask this Witcher. He'll tell you monsters don't set traps.
What's the issue?
Ye or anyone ever heard of a beast setting a wagon in the road?
But yeah, the DLCs are very even on this part, and it was hard to say like who was better. And this was actually the one that got tied, by the way, is DLC. And if we were to factor, because The Witcher does give you a bunch of free DLC, there is technically free DLC as well with Skyrim, and it is pretty good stuff too, because it actually adds some elements too, like fishing. I can't remember if in Witcher 3 the haircut thing is something that's added or was already in the game, so it's hard for me to say there.
Really thought you could take on this monster on your own?
We had to try. If we didn't, who would? Think Larvik's some kind of getaway from mutants? Witcher's stopping in every week?
Willing to talk about it? Tell me what happened?
Ask away.
Remember what the monster looked like?
It were dark. Casper thought he saw something, but...
'Cause I did.
It was huge. Its maw all blood-smeared. Bugger gutted Ungi with one claw. Near spliced him in two.
Word is, you were ambushed. Tell me where.
Short way from here, along the road to Lofferton. Saw a wagon crosswise the road near the woods.
We barely got to it when something came rushing through the underbrush, and whoosh! Blood spurted in me eyes. I wiped it away, looked, saw Einar lying dead.
Interesting. Thanks.
Huh? For what?
Your mom, that's what thanks is. Anyways, there's some things here we can utilize. There we go. Let's go take care of this. Shut up. But yeah, DLCs was hard to choose. I think I have to tie this one up. And I don't know if they would count anyways, but there are a lot of good DLCs to both games. I do think Creation Club is a dumb idea to have, and I would advise Bethesda not doing that kind of stuff. Where Witcher is technically taking a better route. But I wouldn't say that they don't have free DLC as well.
Looks like blood,
as well as free DLC that actually adds some elements to the game. I mean, there's a DLC that actually adds, like, the Saints and Seducers done. That one's freaking awesome. I love the armor sets you can get from that.
Not much left.
And that's technically free, isn't it?
Drag the shredded body to the woods. Creature leading the neckers.
It also adds a quest line that you can also
traps at least.
Is Sheogorath kind of related, and adds extra dungeons, enemy camps to fight strong enemies, some extra pets for carry weight purposes especially, and then
tracks lead into the woods.
Also adds armor that you can craft later too, like the Madness Ore and such you can gather to make Madness armor. So there's definitely positives to both games when it comes to DLC, and negatives. Though, I don't know what negatives there are for The Witcher, honestly. Witcher's mostly positives.
Found a good place for their nest.
You know what? Let me think about this, because that might be the tiebreaker. Oh God. I'll give Witcher the win, just because it doesn't have anything that I can think of that is a negative. Go.
Finally, the main nest.
Uh-oh. I'm gonna give it to...
Guess I got company.
Alright. Let's collect the crafting supplies, because you never know when I'm going to use it. And yeah, I should say. Did I do crafting as a element to... I think that would fit into the potions part that I talked about, honestly. Though I do like the fact that you can add enchantments to your weapons in Skyrim. Technically you can do the same in this, but I think there's more variety in Skyrim with the enchantments. So, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm not gonna qualify weapon enchanting. But I think that will add a layer to a later thing to discuss, because we will be discussing weapons and armor later. Because I feel like that's one I want to talk about for sure. Also got to get my frickin' plug out, by the way, every time I want to look at my list, because this thing goes off on me, so that I can't see my other frickin' categories. Let's give that to the Witcher, the category of DLC, just because it doesn't get greedy like the Creation Club. Sorry, Skyrim, but don't do that crap. Learn your lesson, Bethesda.
So will you help then?
Alright. What should I do next? I have... The rest of these are harder things to talk about. So... Didn't I already talked about skill tree. We can get that out of the way. Alright, let's talk about... Let's talk about cities and towns. There's one that's going to be interesting. This is where I feel like the meat of what I want to talk about is. So I talked about last time how, once again, realism plays a part once again to The Witcher, where it's trying to make more realistic big-ass cities. And they're impressive. Very impressive cities and towns and stuff. Though I looked it up. I looked up that there are such things as rural towns and cities that exist, especially spread between each other, and that's more how Skyrim feels. And then what is it? The Banshees of Inisherin or something? The movie, if you know what I'm talking about. It's got Colin Farrell and the guy who plays Mad-Eye Moody from the Harry Potter movies. When I think of Skyrim, I think of like a setting like that where you have to walk all the way from one town or city or a bar or whatever to the other because they're very far and spread between, but they also have smaller populations and such. So Skyrim feels more like a rural city setting, where Witcher has a little bit of that, but it also has the bigger cities, and then once again playing back apart with a lot of the just nameless NPCs walking around trying to immerse you and make it feel like a lived-in city. But Skyrim's feels lived-in too, because you also get to at least know who those NPCs are, what they're about, and they have tasks that they can give you and stuff, and you can even get married or have a home or adopt children and live with them and stuff. So there is a lot of interactivity, and there's plus sides to both. So I have a hard time choosing between both. But here's the deciding factor for me, is that the city, I just don't remember a single thing or a single city in The Witcher, honestly. They don't stand out as much as Skyrim's. I remember Whiterun. I remember Windhelm. I remember the people within those cities. I remember frickin' Riften. It's one of my favorite cities and locations. I love Markarth, the Dwemer city, which is frickin' awesome. And then Solitude. I think the cities stand out more, and because it's not cluttered with pointless, nameless NPCs, and it's not too big that it gets too overwhelming, and it feels like a real-life city, because once again it's trying to be more like real life than it is trying to be like a more fantastical setting, which Skyrim appeals more to, being a fantastical setting. Okay, we want to do Witcher contracts mostly, so let's focus on these. There's the sign. There it is. By the way, there are a lot of frickin' question marks to frickin' discover. Look at that. Look at that. Holy frick. That's crazy. Let's get the quest done, though. Wait, where is this quest? What? Is this around here somewhere? Guessing it's right here. Okay, weird. Anyways, but I feel like the cities just come across as more memorable and have memorable NPCs and people living within them, and you can still technically have rural living areas in parts of the world and cities. They don't all have to be bustling lived-in cities with nameless NPCs. We have enough of those with frickin' GTA and such.
I was.
And since this is fantasy and not GTA, real-life stuff, which Witcher feels like it's trying to kind of replicate a little bit. Even Cyberpunk tries to do that. With a bunch of nameless NPCs that walk around just meant to be there as nameless NPCs that try and immerse you and make you feel like it's a lived-in city, but you can still do that with NPCs that have purpose and point to them. But yeah.
And the Muir Diablin flipped the boat. Don't even know how I made it ashore. Must have had
so I'm going to give the point to Skyrim.
Where the monsters had eaten their fill. Thanks for the story.
I'm glad I broke the tiebreaker. I'm hoping I'll break another tiebreaker later. With something. Let me see. What else was tied? Oh, nothing else is tied. Okay. Ooh, side content and quests is going to be a hard one to talk about. I want to do dungeons next. I feel like that's an easy one to talk about. So dungeons, let's talk about dungeons. Both do have great dungeons, but as I'm playing The Witcher and I go through like caves and stuff, there are some really forgettable dungeons and just kind of bland cave settings for a lot of the dungeons. So while Skyrim does sometimes have a lot of Draugr dungeons and such, they're at least different laid out, they're well made. I like that a lot of the time there's a shortcut helping to make it more fun than it is realistic. Once again, it's a detriment to some of the frickin' things Witcher's trying to do. Where, as well as the argument I've seen people make about the whole, like, stealing crap from people's houses and then getting caught by the guards and arrested. But after going through these categories, I'm seeing more of that kind of problem people would honestly get pissed about in The Witcher, technically. Because it's relying on trying to be more realistic. Yet, when it has an opportunity to do that, it doesn't, you can't steal from homes and stuff. So if I were to talk about like an element such as being able to thieve and such, and then have guards come and arrest you or characters react, because there are Gothic fans that love that about the Gothic series, where you break into somebody's home and then they get pissed at you or call the guards or kill you themselves. Like people like that, so I can see the side to both there too. There are people who honestly like both for different reasons. But I don't feel like the whole fun element works. Also, I think Luke Stevens is wrong about the whole Gooner element. They recycle a lot of certain animations for characters that you can... whores, basically. Even Kira has a similar animation to them. The only ones that have different animations are two people. And that is Yennefer and Triss. That is it. So I do not think if it is a game that he's arguing Gunnar-wise is why people play The Witcher, that is the reason. I do not agree with that, especially with what I just mentioned. Don't ask me how I know. But I know. So I do not think it is for Gunnar reasons. That would be silly. But, I mean, maybe there's a case that can be made there, but I don't think it is the entirety of the case of why it sold as much as it did. That is just a dumb Luke Stevens moment. Even though I do really like Luke Stevens and he makes a lot of good points with other stuff, that is the one point that I think he's like, nah, I don't agree with that. That's the one time you said something stupid. That I don't think is going to be seen as in your direction. Let's also try and find these quests. So investigate the place where the drowners were. Okay. How far is this place? I was also going to have a map section because I do like Witcher's map. Though I do think the clutter of this stuff is a little ridiculous, though you can technically take it off. But goddamn, why? Holy crap. And most of this, ironically, as I've been going through this stuff, by the way, because I discovered everything on the other map, let me show you. Most of this stuff does ironically feel a little bit like, where is it? Like, kind of just Ubisoft. Stuff Ubisoft would do. Also, for some reason, there's a new question mark that I didn't discover. I don't know how I didn't. But yeah, a lot of them are like a treasure being guarded by a boss or something, or it's a sunken treasure, or you have to liberate a site, kind of like what Far Cry does, or a bandit camp, which is also something similar to like Far Cry and such. Just fight all the enemies and then there's like a treasure maybe there. Then there's these stones where you get powers that give you skill points. Yeah, it kind of feels like Ubisoft-esque stuff. And then fight kind of a horde of enemies, but then destroy the nest by bombing it so that no more spawn. So yeah, that's kind of why I haven't discovered everything yet on this side of the map, is I realized that a lot of this really isn't super important to the side quest. The reason I did all that stuff was to find out if I was going to lose out on more quests, because you can fail quests in The Witcher, as you can see here. You can fail quests. You can technically fail some stuff in Skyrim too, but it's not as likely if you do certain quests like the main storyline quest. Then you most certainly lose out on previous quests. So that's what I was making sure of when I was going around doing every little thing here and there. And once I found out, you know what? Even though there are technically treasure quests attached to some of these, I don't think you'll lose out on those. You can always come back to the treasure stuff and still do them. They're not going anywhere. Unless somehow one of these NPCs find the treasure before me. I don't know how that's possible, but maybe. Alright, we're gonna go here. We do have a question mark nearby as well. So maybe we can discover something along the way. Hello, goat. I've also, for some reason, I'm just used to going on foot places, even though I know I have a horse I can call. Let's get freaking Roach out here. Why not? I don't know, I just prefer going on foot places. Hello? Wait, what is this? What are you keeping from me, sir, huh? What is this? Oh. Okay, never mind. You can keep it. Bye, Roach. We used you for like 2 seconds. Now I'm done. I know you won the mount section, but frick off. Alright.
Another victim.
Hello, Drowner. He's a strong one. Not anymore.
That stench. Drowners.
There's
sure.
Drowner over
They
there.
must be nearby.
Come on.
Frick off. Treasure! Yay! Alright. Is it going under? Ah, it is. Got footprints. Alright. Oh, what the hell? Let's get the frick out of here quickly. Alright. There we go. Okay, we should get to the next category. Let me get it up. And we talked about... Okay, dungeons. Yeah, I was still talking about dungeons actually, but yeah. I just didn't find the dungeons as interesting to explore in The Witcher, where Skyrim was just much more rewarding with its dungeons and much more interesting to me. And there are some really cool dungeons. I love dungeons like the one where you find that orb in the middle and then it traps you. The orb like scans you and then you fall through a big hole in the ground. I love stuff like that. There's just such memorable dungeons and settings in Skyrim's dungeons. These ones just feel like typical caves a lot of the time. They don't stand out as much. And I don't always like navigating them, too. Alright, let's go this way.
More drowners.
Fight me! I'm feeling my sword is getting weaker and I need to fix durability. I gotta get the dungeon-wise to Skyrim, though. There's far more interestingly developed dungeons. I love their shortcuts. I love the rewards that you can get within these dungeons as well. And they're a lot more fun. These ones, it's just too many of the same, like, cave locations. There's a couple of dungeons that are really good and have cool puzzles to them, but there's not a whole lot of that every time, and most of those are connected to the main quest line, where both the main and side dungeons feel awesome in Skyrim. I mean, Bethesda is kind of the king of dungeons, and the irony is I feel like it's closer to another Bethesda game and how they approach certain dungeons, that being Starfield, ironically. Because Starfield has that problem of, like, when you go find a cave system, it's just a cave where you mine resources. That's it. It's definitely worse than The Witcher's for sure, but
Bits of
it's
boats,
the closest to
torn
what I
sails,
see some of
lines,
Witcher's cave
Sailing
dungeons
decor,
too.
you could call it. That stench, marks on the
And then you
bodies.
got like the
This
office
must be a
buildings and
water
stuff. It's
haven.
just kind of boring.
Got a keen sense of smell. Won't come back while I'm here, unless she coexists with drowners. Maybe I could make an extract from their glands, cover up my scent.
Okay. Hair potion. Alright. So I'm pretty sure there's a quest. Wait, does it tell me which potion? Prepare a potion using drowner pheromones and use it to hide your scent. Okay. Oh wait, can I break this? Hold on. Seems like I can... No? Maybe I can use a sword? Nope. How about this? Nope. Okay. Feels like something I could have done. I can't direct that. Oh, crap. Alright, now I gotta make a potion to frickin'... Okay. Vampires... That's not it. No. Oh. I think I just saw it. There it is. There we go. Just make sure. We should probably craft a bunch of potions, honestly. Because I will need potions. For different reasons, different things. So let's just craft a bunch of these. Perfect. Whoops. Sorry about that. Let's move on to the side quests. This was a hard one for me, because both games have really good side quests and just side activities in general. The Witchers are made important and they do have some weight to them because you get to communicate with the characters more in them, and it makes them feel like any other cutscenes. Though you could argue, technically, since you talk to everybody the same in Skyrim, that's no different. And sometimes both games can connect certain quest lines to even the main quests and such. So they do kind of do the same thing, though there are some things that The Witcher does a little bit more significance. However, Skyrim has iconic-ass quests. Like, even though you could argue Oblivion and Morrowind are probably more known for some of these, you got the Daedric quest lines, you got the freaking Guild quest lines. There's a bunch of things where you have Witcher contracts, monster hunting, you got side quests, which do have really cool things to them. I'm actually going to be uploading one involving a freaking heart of, a dark deity that goes into a horse. You can put into the body of a horse, and it becomes Black Beauty, which I think is the name of a book or a movie, or both. So, yeah, there's a lot of cool quests and important quests for sure that have great significance and lore behind them in The Witcher. I'm just getting a bunch of crap goods out of the way. Hell yeah. Oh, there's another one. Alright. Oh, I can't make alcohol? Damn. How dare you. Oils. And there's a lot of stuff I can craft. I have a lot of goods. A lot of crafting goods. My freaking cord go. So, I think... Let me just check what I wrote here. I think that I had it so that the... Yeah, I had it... Okay. I think that Witcher has some really darn good quests, but the significance and just how memorable the quests are of Skyrim, as well as helped by the lore and the world building and stuff, which I will talk about in a later section, I think I gotta give Skyrim the win for this, because who is gonna forget a lot of the freaking the side quests of the... And yes, they do technically count as side quests, because if the main campaign is the freaking Dragonborn stuff, you know, becoming Dragonborn, defeating Alduin and that stuff, then technically stuff like the guild quests and the freaking Daedric quests and such do count as well. There are some tedious tasks, like collecting the Crimson Nirnroot and such, but those are far and few between. A lot of the more cool quests that you can run into. Like a talking dog. That leads you to fricking Clavicus File. So there's memorable quests in both, and it's hard to say, and I did have a... This was actually one of the subjects that I actually had tied for quite a while until I found what the tiebreaker was, and that is that Skyrim has the more memorable, iconic quests that stand out. More people are going to talk about and remember from this day on. The writing is still really good in the Witcher quests, and I wouldn't doubt somebody would have their quests that they remember fondly or love. But also it helps that Skyrim's been around longer, so that stuff stayed with people longer. So I gotta give the edge to Skyrim in this case. And since I'm counting, because I count like Witcher contracts, side quests, treasure hunts, and such as side quests to The Witcher, and The Witcher 1 campaign story, so there's that as well. Makes sense that Skyrim probably is going to win that section of side quests. Though I will let you know that it did come very close. Alright. We got that out of the way. Let's get... I think we only have 4 more to go. Alright, here's where it gets interesting. I think I unbalanced the score as well when doing this, but I think it's still very similar. So, okay, we have the world lore and map exploration all in one. We have armor and weapons, gameplay and experimentation all in one. I had to combine some, by the way, and I can talk about those in the segments. Then dialogue system choices and role-playing are their own setup. So let's talk about those two, actually. So let's first talk about dialogue choices, or that setup. So a lot of games have the illusion of choice and stuff. However, I will say that The Witcher does a much better job when it comes to having choices that you can actually make and legit have consequences or not in the game. So they do a good job with that. Skyrim, while there are places, mostly in some side quests, that you make important choices, like between like a mask of Clavicus Vial or a rueful axe, for example. And sometimes they're just choices that amount to good or bad. And that's it. They don't amount to too much else after that. God damn, there's a lot of this crap. Best to get this stuff out of the way. But I do think The Witcher, while it does have some illusions of choice, where it does, oh, this means good and this means bad, it does it better than Skyrim for sure. So when it comes to dialogue choices and options, and especially since you can fail quests and such, you can technically fail quests, Witcher is much better in that direction. So Witcher wins the point for dialogue choices. Now, for role-playing, this is an important one because people always get this wrong, and I started to notice this like once again. It's not the fault of who I was talking to, of course. He just helped me to realize that this is a problem amongst some people who view RPGs in a different light. But some people equivalate that dialogue choices are definitively what make a RPG. No. It is not called a dialogue choice game. Wouldn't it be called a DCG instead of RPG? If that was, and once again, RPGs have multiple different systems that make a RPG. As well as there are different types of RPGs, action RPGs, JRPGs, whatever. There are different types, but RPG itself means role-playing game. Do I need to quote Actman from his Diablo video? Gee, I wonder what role I should play in this game. And for some reason, people sometimes mistake dialogue choices as the strongest element of what makes an RPG, when it is not. And there are RPGs that sometimes don't even have dialogue choices. Or dialogue choices are the only thing they focus on mostly sometimes. Or maybe the choices are more involved in the gameplay itself rather than what you say in the game or choose to say. So when it comes to role-playing, I'm talking about a role you can create and play, and you already know who wins this one, fricking Skyrim. Skyrim, you can actually create not only a different race in your own character, in both games, you are definitively Geralt the Witcher in the Witcher game. I mean, it's called The Witcher. You're one class, one role that you play, definitively. You can't be different. Even Ciri is a Witcher. A time-traveling one with Elder Blood, but a Witcher nonetheless. You're still role-playing as just a Witcher. With Skyrim, you can roleplay whatever. You can roleplay a stealth archer or a stealth... Okay, I'll stop making that joke. But you can roleplay whatever. And I've seen tons of people from Granulf to Juve to just myself creating all these different classes and such for your gameplay experience and how you roleplay. As well as, take for example, LARPing. If you decide to kind of LARP in the game, or pretend to LARP anyways. You can also do that more so with Skyrim than you can The Witcher. Since The Witcher has a designated main character for you, kind of like how God of War, you have Kratos, but there are RPG elements around him. But yeah, Skyrim is more of an RPG in the sense that you actually can create and play different roles. If we want to go off of something that is a role-playing game in both dialogue, strong dialogue and choices, and role-playing, you want Dragon Age Origins or Fallout New Vegas or Baldur's Gate 3. These games let you do both. They have strong points in both of those, but The Witcher mostly is strong in its dialogue system. Though it is a good role to play, it is sadly the only one you're playing. With Skyrim, you can do several. You're the Dragonborn, and that is technically a role that you are designated to play through most of that game, but you can also be a different play style that works towards your role as well. You can be a Dragonborn that is a mage, or a Dragonborn that is a warrior, or a Dragonborn that is a stealth archer. But once again, that is what a role-playing game is. Not just dialogue choices. Once again, like I said, there's different types of role-playing games, and there are different elements to a role-playing game. There are multiple elements that contribute to a role-playing game, but that is not what role-playing itself is and means. That is not the central focus. It can contribute to it, but it is not a central focus of why it's called a role-playing game. And you gotta factor in other things that are limitations and such to it, like what I said with The Witcher, where you're limited to playing Geralt of Rivia, a Witcher role. So you can't role play as other roles or have they ironically both have choices. Witcher's got choices in dialogue, and Elder Scrolls has choices in the role that you can pick, as well as the race and all that. So I don't know if that needs to be a contributing factor, but there are elements, like, for example, Dark Elf can be more resistant to, like, fire damage and stuff. You know, they have their different elements there, too. So yeah, there's different contributing elements you gotta think about. What makes a role-playing game. So Skyrim wins this one when it comes to role-playing, because you can actually create multiple roles to play as. Alright, now that we got those out of the way, we can get to the last two big ones. I think I want to talk about, so there's the world, lore, map, and exploration. I think we can eliminate map though, so let me get rid of that. And then armor, weapons, gameplay, and experimentation for the other one. So let's talk about, also my headset is saying low battery, so I gotta plug it in. I'm sorry that I'm on this screen for a long time, you're probably getting bored. I have been doing a lot of gameplay, I haven't been able to craft much, so might as well do a little bit of that, have some variety at least, though this is no longer turning into variety. So we're down to the last two. I want to talk about the fricking gameplay, experimentation, and armor and weapons. So, first off, armor and weapons. Both games do have great armor and weapons, and once again, this plays into it's meant to be fantasy. Skyrim goes a little bit more out there with its weapon designs, as well as the variety of weapons and tools that you can use, so this also contributes to experimentation. Because it gives you so many tools to fool around with, and so many weapons in general, just a variety to them, as well as the rewards of it too, which contributes to the other thing, is Skyrim, because it has great dungeons, it also does a great job with the reward system too. So I gotta give that to Skyrim. It is much better when it comes to, like, there's so much experimentation. Look at, once again, people what Juve and such do, or Doug. There's so many different ways they found to play Skyrim, or to do different challenges in Skyrim and such. The experimentation of the game is just ridiculous. Much more out there. Alright, let's see. Where's that potion? Is it mixed in here? I think I can find it fine. Isn't it a... I'm pretty sure I know what it was called again. Okay. There it is.
That should do it. Now for a place to hide and wait. Behind those boats.
He's like Qui-Gon Jinn. I hate hags. Now with gameplay, it's also different too, as they approach their gameplay very differently from one another. I fucking hate fighting hags. And you can basically hack and slash in both games. So, because of experimentation with Skyrim as well as like the variety of weapons that you can use, magic, bow and arrow combat's much better, especially since you just mostly use a crossbow. There's not much actual like bow and arrow combat in this, and the magic is also kind of limited to a certain extent. So it's a lot more limiting in what The Witcher can do compared to Skyrim. Now, with since we're not talking about mods, even if I were to talk about mods, Skyrim would win that because Skyrim has years dedicated in mods from this time, where Witcher just recently got its red kit. And that's not to say people haven't modded it even before that, but it doesn't have as easily of ways to mod it as Skyrim did for the longest time. Where Skyrim has a multitude of frickin' places and mods. Now, The Witcher can kind of grow from here on out, of course, but it might never catch up with Skyrim on that. Kind of like how it's going to take a long time to catch up with its record of holding 24 years, basically, of holding its record of being one of the top best-selling games. It's technically still up there. I mean, wouldn't it technically be pushed to whatever's came before it now? Since it does outsell that thing that was before it? Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, because of experimentation and because there's a lot of different variety of weapons and stuff, I think I'm going to drop this. Damn, that's not enough? You serious? What if I put this on, and then that, and put this on? There you go. And this, we're gonna just put a bunch of random crap on my swords. Okay, and then this. There we go. There. Alright, can I repair stuff? Wish I had armor repair kits. I don't know why I don't. think I have a bunch of junk I can drop, though. Yeah. Let's drop all this crap. I don't know why I collect random junk anyways. Let's do one of these so I have multiple. Alright. Now I can leave. Oh wait, this is the wrong way. This is why I wish there were shortcuts in these dungeons. I have to go all the way and backtrack. What is this, Metroid? If I were to contribute something later also to Skyrim cities and such, is that I find them just more memorable to navigate to, where I have to constantly check the map to navigate frickin' the Witcher's cities. And that can get a little grating after a while. Especially since I have a bad memory and I'm not good with knowing, like, street names especially, so you think I'm gonna be good with remembering... I memorize stuff more from visuals, and because The Witcher has very similar visually looking buildings and just how massive a scale it is. Stay dead. Thanks for the grilled chicken sandwich. Dinks. Getting stuck on crap. What is this, Metro Exodus? Alright. And gameplay-wise, this is a very smooth, like, combat experience compared to, like, Skyrim's. Like, a lot of people don't like the melee combat, but once again, because it has a variety in its weapons and armor and stuff, as well as what you can use from stabs to bow and arrow combat to magic by your hands, whatever it may be. This game is very limited because, once again, also because you're role-playing a Witcher most of the time, you're very limited in what you can use. Ah.
Greetings.
What do you got in stock? Can I sell anything to this guy? I can sell this and this. That's pretty much it, though. Is that stronger than my... Hold on.
So long.
Check something. Hold on. What if I put that on my person and then try to repair it? Okay. Never mind. None of them are stronger than my weapons. I think there are some weapons I can sell to you, sir. Like this gold sword. The Maribor sword. I think the rest of these I'm going to keep. Yeah. I will keep them and put them in my chest.
So long.
I think my quest is actually down there. Alright. I think we only have one last thing to talk about, and that is the world. Lore. And what was the other thing? Where's my freaking phone? There it is. It was world, lore, and I think exploration. if it'll turn on. For some reason it's not turning on. Yeah, there's just more variety, experimentation, and there are other good gameplay elements, like the bow and arrow combat's actually legit good in Skyrim. And I don't mind the magic. I don't know why people hate on that. It's freaking annoying. But finally is the world. I'm trying to find it. There it is. World lore. It says map, but we technically already talked a little bit about that. So I'm going to add exploration to that. Yeah, exploration, world, and map. Both have very impressive frickin' open worlds, and then if you count the DLCs, they're kind of even in that front too. Because, like, you got Blood and Wine is another big open world. You got multiple kind of open worlds to this map. Skellig. Though I will say this feels too much like the Assassin's Creed Odyssey going from island to island, and that is a little annoying. I hate that. So I'm not a fan of that, personally. Got the multiple semi-open world, mostly just two, and then the palace, which is just a small building mostly, or a big building, and then you got kind of an open world. It's very small, though. It's just about this big, really, and around here. And then you got kind of the same thing going on for Kaer Morhen. You really only have this place, and you can kind of explore a little bit of this. It's not much, once again. But, yeah. And then Blood and Wine adds a lot. But then, like, its other DLC, Hearthstone or whatever, takes place mostly in the same map that you're on. Kind of the same as some of the DLC of Skyrim, but Skyrim's Dawnguard does take you to two semi-open worlds, and then you got the Dragonborn DLC, which also takes you to a big open world, and you got the area dungeons that you explore in the books, Apocrypha. So you have kinda, it's not really an open world, it's mostly dungeons, but it's another area you get to explore. But they even them out, even each other out because of that.
What the devil is that?
Water hag, an old clever one. She was the danger.
Seen a lot of ugly critters in my life. Morays, lampreys, blobfish, but never nothing like this.
Now, we'll talk about each of these. I think that Witcher does have a better map layout, where Skyrim, people had the mod making the map look better.
Think I deserve more. Water hag's significantly more dangerous than drowners.
Not denying it, but my coin pouch ain't exactly bottomless.
Neither is the sea. Plenty more filth ready to crawl up from its bottom. Might need my services again. And I won't stick my neck out for those who skimp on the reward.
Extorting protection coin, eh? Take it. Take all I got. And choking at you, bugger.
I'm a dick. And then, what do we got? Exploration. Both games do a good job on exploration, but what detriments it kind of for me is the fact that, once again, when you look at all these frickin' question marks, it just kind of has that Ubisoft vibe about it. Where once I discovered what most of these question marks were on the other open world of the map, I was like, okay, I see what they're doing here. You got typical kind of Ubisoft-esque stuff. You got, okay, treasure being guarded. That's in multiple places. You got monster nests you can destroy. Play some monsters. Okay, you got some caves, but they're honestly kind of boring, is what I've talked about earlier. Got some bandit camps, so I definitely haven't seen that done a million times before, especially since there's multiple of them here, and they're not nearly as exciting to fight as Skyrim's bandit camps, especially since those bandit camps can sometimes lead to cool little dungeons. These ones do not, however. Then you got the stones, you got buried treasure or hidden treasure, and then you got frickin', is there another thing? I'm trying to find out. There was another thing. Oh yeah, there's some forts you can frickin' unite or whatever. Or clear out and then people take over. Kind of feels like a Far Cry thing, honestly. I'm just surprised there aren't like high points where you synchronize. So Skyrim's also a game that immediately as you get out of the very first dungeon, you're like, you want to explore everything. You can just be like, go anywhere you want. And like every little thing you see in the distance is something very intriguing or interesting to your eye. I don't see a whole lot of that in The Witcher. While there's cool places, I know what that place up there is. It's just more part of this city here. There's nothing like seeing the frickin' first dungeon in the game that you see in the distance. What is that called? Something Burrow? Can't remember the name of it off the top of my head right now. But you know what dungeon I'm talking about, and it's like the one where you get the Dragonstone. You don't see something like that in the distance and be like, whoa, is that like another city, or is that a dungeon? What is that? It's just much more interesting. Lore-wise, I was talking to Dave about this, because this was a hard one. So, with The Witcher, you have books that originally established its world. Now you have the games, which are a little different from the books. You got the television show, you got the comic books, you got lore books within the game, and then you do have story and lore within the game itself with characters and stuff. However, once again, coming back to the realistic thing as well as a established lore-like world from previous Elder Scrolls games, and Elder Scrolls is a little older too, has a more established lore-filled world, and it feels more in the direction of Lord of the Rings and how it handles its lore, where Witcher is more like Game of Thrones with it, how it handles its lore and world building. They're both very good, but I take the Lord of the Rings over Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones doesn't quite have as much mystery to its world. Similar to The Witcher, there is some mysteries, but it's not nearly as good as, like, for example, the disappearance of the dwarves within the universe. People will never forget the cool lore behind the disappearance and mystery of the dwarves within the Elder Scrolls universe. That will never not be something that's fascinating and that people will not talk about years from now. So it's just got much more established lore, better exploration, just a lot of better things in the terms of how it works its world. So I think the final point goes to Skyrim. Now, when I was tallying these up, they originally kept tying between each other. So now I think I came to... Skyrim has technically... So I think the points are different. I think technically Witcher is different from what I came to now. Since I have two ties, let me look at the ties again. Who tied? Okay, so... Skyrim got that one. And Witcher got that one. So Witcher is at 13 points. Oh, why do I have 11 there? That's weird. Hold on. So, has 13 points. The Witcher has 13. But Skyrim, where it originally had either tied with it or 14 points, it now has 15 points. The ties are now broken. Ties are now 0 points. So, Skyrim wins by 2 points. It was very close, and once again, when trying to go over these, since I didn't have very helpful friends to help me break tiebreakers and stuff. I had to do it all on my own at the end of the day. The things that my friends mostly did to help me out was to break down the categories and have less of them when talking about this. So Skyrim, at least from what I was doing in researching this and going over what I have to think about each of these categories and wanted to contribute to each of them, I have to give it to Skyrim. 2 points ahead thanks to its world and lore, and thanks to its gameplay, and it's the experimentation within the gameplay and how you can utilize it. Can I actually find these treasure hunts? Wait a minute. I might not be able to do these. Oh no, I think I can do these. Okay. Where is the nearest sign? Oh, and I need a chest. Isn't there a chest around here? Put my stuff away in. So yeah, they're both really good games, don't get me wrong. And I actually wanted it to be a tie originally. I was hoping people would, like, vote. But finding out after doing this, I think even if people voted for The Witcher, Skyrim would have at least won by 1 point. So I'm going to add a point for The Witcher because I feel like maybe people would mostly vote for The Witcher. I guess it depends. Because most of the people I've talked to on my channel have liked The Witcher more. But you never know. Maybe I don't know the people who watch my channel. But yeah, I'll give a point because I'm predicting that people would have chosen The Witcher. But that just means that Skyrim is only 1 point above. That makes a little bit more sense than being 2 points. But yeah. Once again, I think the RPG part that I brought out is very important to think about because people, after I talked to some people about RPG elements, what makes an RPG, I started to notice the trend of, like, people think it's dialogue that make an RPG. It is not. That is a element, but it is not the main reason that makes an RPG an RPG. Like some people probably sadly think or believe. So there you go. It is just like Actman said, it's called a role. Gee, I wonder what role I should play in this goddamn game. And since The Witcher restricts you to just playing a Witcher and Geralt, so you're also restricted to character, you are only able to roleplay as what they give you.